Sir, you can't be in here.
I'm not doing anything wrong, son.
Gerald shuffled in slowly, wearing a threadbare coat despite the summer heat. A security guard named Troy spotted him immediately. He crossed the floor in long strides, chest puffed,
Sir,
hand raised.
Sir,
You can't be in here.
I'm not
Gerald
doing anything
looked up
wrong,
quietly.
son.
I'm not doing anything wrong, son. Troy grabbed his arm. Let's
Let's go.
You're disturbing the customers. A nearby saleswoman laughed under her breath. Gerald was walked out through the front doors and left standing on the pavement in the heat. He sat down slowly on the low brick wall outside, folded his hands in his lap, and said nothing. Inside, a man in a plain gray shirt stood near the back of the store. He had been watching the whole thing from beside a display rack. He walked to the front of the store, pushed open the doors, and sat down on the brick wall beside Gerald.
Every day's hot
day,
when
he
you've
said.
got nowhere to go.
Gerald nodded. Every day's hot when you've got nowhere to go. The man looked at him. What's your name? Gerald. I'm Richard. They sat together for a moment in silence. Richard went back inside. He walked directly to the store manager's office and knocked once.
The man outside. Bring him in. Get him water, something to eat from the cafe, and a chair.
Sir, he was loitering and making customers uncomfortable.
Helen stared at him. Sir, he was loitering and making customers uncomfortable. Richard looked at her evenly. He's a human being, and it's 91 degrees outside. And I own this store. Helen's face went pale. She had never seen Richard Hartwell in person before. She stood immediately and moved. Troy was called back
Troy,
to the front. His
listen to
expression
me.
shifted when Helen whispered to him. He walked outside stiffly.
Please come inside. We'd like to offer you some refreshments. All right.
Gerald looked at him for a long moment. Then he stood slowly, straightened his coat, and walked back through the doors with his head held high. Richard was waiting inside. He handed Gerald a cold bottle of water and sat across.
Tell me about yourself, Gerald.
Well, I've lived a long life. Not always easy.
31 years, retired sergeant. My father served. He used to say the uniform comes off, but the service doesn't.
Helen stood nearby, watching. Troy stood further back, arms at his sides, staring at the floor. Before Richard left, he spoke quietly to Helen at the door.
Every person who walks through those doors gets treated with dignity. Post it on the wall if you have to. And find out if Gerald needs anything.
Then he walked out through the same doors Gerald had been pushed out of an hour before. Gerald sat at that cafe table for another hour. The saleswoman who had laughed brought him a sandwich without being asked. She didn't say sorry, but she said it anyway, because dignity doesn't belong to the people who can afford it. It belongs to every person who walks through the door. And sometimes it takes the person who owns the door to remind everyone else of that.